Hello and welcome to this video. My name's Haley and I'm discussing the gene keys in this series. Today's video is about the first Siddhi of Beauty, which is within the first gene key of entropy, from entropy to centropy. And yes, this is my raw cut kind of annotations from this book. This is a no frills channel. I have a hair mask in and I'm wearing my bathrobe right now. And I'm talking about the Siddhi of Beauty. So if that all interests you, real, authentic, raw annotations from the gene keys analyzed through the lens of Haley Snyder's consciousness, then stay tuned. If not, then I'll see you later. I should just note, I'm also using this channel as a practice of not giving a fuck. I really am making these videos just to articulate myself and share. And then also twofold reason being, I'm trying to just present myself as I am, present my thoughts as they are. In the last video, I kind of talked about that gift of freshness and being okay with your own uniqueness, the power of your own uniqueness. So here it is, the power of my own uniqueness, hair mask, bathrobe, and raw annotations of the first Siddhi of Beauty. So let's dive right in. He says, kind of toward the beginning here, light is all that exists. So light is all that exists. You could sub the word light for love, for consciousness, for God, for the quantum field. The quantum field is all that exists. God is all that exists. Love, that is all that exists. Light is all that exists. So he starts this off with a very profound and fundamental truth. And he says that this light, as it shines through human awareness, it becomes what we call beauty. Okay, so if light is all that exists, that means I'm light. That means this hair mask is made out of light. The shine of this robe is made out of light. So is the cotton part. You're light. This phone is light. This book is light. I could go on, right? Everything is light. But specifically, when light shines through human awareness, when quantum field, when God's essence channels through the body, it becomes what we call beauty. That's an interesting distinction that I've never heard before. Because I personally have been contemplating the definition of beauty for quite a while. In modeling for 5 years, I definitely had, my definition of beauty has changed dramatically over the years, and it's still evolving. And so this helps give me a framework of what Richard Rudd thinks is beauty. He thinks beauty is God essence shining through the body of a human. And to a certain degree, I agree with this. Because I used to think beauty, genuinely, I used to think beauty was about how you looked. What size your body was, how nice your eyebrows were, how symmetrical or kind of exotic you looked, all this bullshit, right? And then obviously through my trials and tribulations through the modeling industry, I found that although I was maintaining this physical beauty, I didn't feel very beautiful. I didn't feel very healthy. So my personal definition of beauty has transmuted into a higher frequency of health. Now, if I don't feel healthy, I personally don't feel beautiful. Now, when I see things that don't look healthy, I personally don't think they're beautiful. And this does align with Richard Rudd's definition, because he says that beauty is when God's essence, when love is channeling through the human body and being presented, which is another way to describe health, which is how my definition of beauty has evolved. So many ways to say this. An interesting thought to go down is, what's your current subconscious, perhaps, definition of beauty? How can you make that conscious and ask yourself, is this actually what I think beauty is, or is this just what society's programmed me to believe beauty is? Because I personally now stand in my own power and outright reject societal beauty norms. And this is coming from a model who modeled 5 years in New York City. I don't agree with the current beauty paradigms that society holds us to. I think these standards are unrealistic, they're unhealthy, and they're not beautiful. They're actually the inverse. So yes, something to think about. What's your definition of beauty? If it's subconscious, bring it to the light and ask yourself, really, do I agree with with what my mind currently thinks beauty is? And then how does your definition compare to Richard Rudd's definition of beauty, which is God's essence channeling through the human body and being presented? So then he kind of goes into talking about how gene keys 1, 2, 63, and 64. And once again, there's only 64 gene keys. So gene keys 1, 2, 63, and 64 create these 4 cornerstones. And he references a few other lineages here, talking about how the number 4 is very principal to a lot of esoteric concepts in religions. And basically, he just states that gene keys 1, 2, 63, and 64 create kind of a foundation and a directional shift within humanity. That's all I really have to say about that. If you're more curious about that, I recommend looking up the Siddhi of Beauty and reading that section, because I thought it was interesting information, but I didn't have any personal revelations or downloads from that. I was just like, oh, cool, I agree. This sounds pretty foundational to me. Beauty lies in the unity of all. That could be interpreted in quite a few ways. Beauty lies in the unity of all. That just naturally spurs my mind to think, okay, the unity of all means there's not separate fragmentations, there's wholeness. What's wholeness? Wholeness is oneness. One is no duality, no separation from God, no fear, just love. So back kind of to his initial thing that light is all that exists. Beauty lies in the unity of all. You could sub the word beauty for light. Light lies in the unity of all. You could actually go back to that first statement and sub the word light with beauty. Beauty is all that exists. Because truly, you think about it, beauty is all around us, and it's our own personal perception and mutation of our own free will to not observe the beauty. God's essence is channeling through everything, in my personal opinion. And it's only our own ill misperception that chooses not to observe that. So I think it's actually true to say that beauty is all that exists. You just have to choose to see it and choose to observe it. Because we have this thing called free will, and you can choose to close your eyes if you really want to. If you choose to open them, really open them, open your third eye, you'll naturally, inevitably start to see the beauty of God's essence channeling through all. True beauty, when manifested and realized in the human being, presupposes a state of union with the totality. So I personally had to read that a few times. And this is one thing about Richard Rudd. Sometimes he's so poetic that I'm like, sorry, what was that? So yeah, after reading that a few times, I basically realized I think he's trying to say that true beauty is 100% presence. Because he goes on to say it's a union or a oneness not like anything we can imagine. And naturally that leads me to remember a time where I meditated and I feel like I merged with all of consciousness, and there was no way to describe it. And it was truly beautiful, and it was 100% presence. Beauty is simply so natural it cannot be expressed. That part threw me for a loop. Again, I think this is his poetic way of saying that you can't choose to express beauty or not. It's always being expressed. What you can choose is to observe it, have all your eyes open, or to not observe it and have your eyes closed. But whether your eyes are open or closed, it's always there. That's how I personally interpreted this. Beauty is simply so natural that it cannot be expressed. The nature of beauty is to always be there. It's eternal. So I think in him saying it can't be expressed, what he's trying to say is it's always expressed. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because I was definitely a little bit dumbfounded when I first read that section. The moment we humans look at something, feel something, and proclaim it as beautiful, we have divided from it and left the state of unity. True. Okay, we're all one when we're in observance. The moment our mind even labels something, a thought is born, duality is created. When we're in the pure present moment, we're one. The moment we think a thought or label something with our mouth, duality is born. And so this is interesting. I'm gonna stop saying that word. I'm really trying to stop saying that word because I say it so much. This is ironic, because when something is beautiful, naturally the mind, the nature of the mind, wants to label it, wants to pick it apart and understand it. But it's in that picking apart and understanding it that it actually becomes less of what it just is, less beautiful. It's entering the realm of beauty that's not true 100% beauty, because again, earlier we went over how true beauty is 100% presence. In 100% presence, there's no room to label anything because you're one. 100% presence, there's zero duality. The moment space begins to enter, duality begins to enter, you're separating from oneness, therefore you're separating from presence, therefore you're separating from beauty. And I don't think it's as simple as it's either beautiful or not. I do think it's on a gradient. It's like a sliding scale. Because even I think about the people, I've met in my life, and sometimes I meet someone and I'm like, wow. We talked about this in the last video. When they walk into the room, their presence elevates the entire room. Their presence makes me feel heart opened. And then sometimes I meet people with qualities similar to that, but not as severe as some other people. And then I meet people sometimes that I'm like, I don't think they have any of that. So I do think it's on a sliding scale to infinity both ways. So that's something to think about too. You can become infinitely more beautiful, infinitely more present. It never really ends. And then also vice versa. You can be infinitely more fragmented, infinitely less beautiful, more labels from the mind. And a label is just a judgment or an opinion from the mind. Opinions create duality. True beauty is unique and inexplicable. Again, true meaning 100% to infinity, because you're in the oneness of it all. Complete presence. And this is true. Think about the times in your life where you felt true beauty. I mean, naturally, I think of one of the most gorgeous sunsets in Hawaii. I was just so awestruck. There was no room for labels, thoughts, words, nothing. Or I think about the time when words were exiting my mouth, I was singing, but I was so present in this kind of flow state, it's like I was locked in. And it wasn't I who was talking, it was something was coming through me. And I felt beautiful. The moment felt beautiful. Everything felt beautiful. There was no me in the moment. We were one. So interesting to rabbit hole down. And it's just nice and fuzzy to remember moments of oneness, of full presence, of true beauty. This part is different. He says, true beauty has a greater connection to absence, to darkness, or to silence. True beauty has a greater connection to absence, to darkness, and to silence. Absence, darkness, silence. That kind of makes me think of the feminine energy. The void. And that lines up. Beauty also gives a very feminine energy to it. And again, in that state of pure presence, you're usually not speaking. And you're definitely not labeling with the mind, otherwise you're not 100% present. And in the rare scenario where you are using your mouth and still feeling that true beauty, it's not coming from you as an individualized point of consciousness. It's being channeled through you as a form of art. So yeah, true beauty is a very surrendered state. If you are doing or moving the body, you're in a complete flow state, in my personal opinion, I think is what he's saying here. True beauty is feminine. When this Siddhi dawns inside of you, everything in the cosmos is experienced as beautiful and fresh. Everything. This means even the disorder, which is what we talked about way back when, videos 1 and 2. Even disorder is viewed as beautiful. That means even when you get your heart broken, it's viewed as beautiful. That means even when you fall off the moped, it's viewed as beautiful. That means even if someone is kind of annoying you, it's still viewed as beautiful. And I made a note here that says, everything, even trash. Because I had a memory pop up when I read that. When I lived in New York City and I was first starting to meditate and have experiences where I felt totally present and true beauty. Very fleeting glimpses. Sometimes it would last for a day. And I remember this one day, I think I had stayed in kind of this really present state for longer than usual, because usually after a certain amount of time it would wear off and then I'd kind of fall back into density and feel the weight of the world. But I remember this one day I was just walking around super wide-eyed. I just had like a very, very deep meditation. And I remember seeing this pile of trash and I wrote a poem about it that I never shared, because at the time after I wrote it I thought, oh, this is too dramatic. I can't possibly show this. Maybe if I get brave enough one day I'll share it. But yeah, this poem is about this pile of trash. And I sat there with this trash for, gosh, I don't know how much time. Because that's the other thing about this being in this state of presence, is you lose track of time. It feels super long and super short and just not relevant, basically. So I don't know how long I sat with this trash, but I wrote a poem about it. And to me, it was just so beautiful. Remember one of the lines, the sunshine drip of the orange juice on an A-frame, something. But I was watching the drip of this juice on a pizza box. I was making it A-frame with the garbage can. Anyways, it was beautiful to me. And I'm sure I looked a little crazy. But I think when you snap into this consciousness level, even something as kind of gross or meaningless, or, you know, it's literally a trash can. People put things in there because they're worth nothing. It has zero value to them. But here I am staring at it like almost crying. And so, yeah, it's like a new level of perception is unlocked when you're in this frequency of beauty. And it is a siddhi. It is a gift to be in this frequency of beauty. And it's not easy to maintain. I don't want to limit you. Maybe it is easy to maintain. For myself personally, the few times I've snapped into it have been amazing, and I have found it hard to maintain. But again, in reference to the last video, I think the goal of the gene keys, of all real spiritual work, is to move from disorder, move from entropy to centropy. Move from things feel so dense and so heavy and so not beautiful to seeing everything as beautiful and stabilizing into this frequency. Sounds simple. Simple enough. Sorry, I just read a line. Everything shines and drips. I just said the word drip. Everything shines and drips with an essence of uniqueness. And yet at the same time, it all shares a single source. So I could sit here and describe this garbage more to you guys, but again, what he said earlier, true beauty cannot be spoken of. The moment I try to speak it into existence for you, it actually loses the nature of what I experienced. So take my word for it. The trash was absolutely beautiful. And it was unique, but at the same time, it shared a single source. And then he goes into a nice contemplation. So then how can you teach the experience of beauty? Exactly what I just said. I can't even try to teach it to you because the moment I do, I add more thought, I add more separation. I get further away from the thing I'm trying to teach. And the natural answer that came to me when I read this question was embody it. Embody those experiences of beauty. Because the beautiful thing is we all have different experiences of beauty. You watching this may have had an experience of true presence, true beauty with some garbage in New York City, or you might not have. You might have had experiences that have different parts of the world involved, people involved, music involved, I don't know. But I think the best way for us all to teach each other is to just embody those experiences. And by that, I mean, don't sit here and for the life of you try to explain all day and get everyone to understand the garbage in New York City and how beautiful it was. Instead, I myself can remember that experience. That will naturally turn on my heart this powerful generator of love, of beauty, to remember, to soak in that energy. And now when I open my eyes, I have that energy as I'm here right now. And that's the best way to teach anything, is to embody it. Because now every action I take has this energy of remembrance of beauty in it, if that makes sense. And actions speak louder than words. That's a nice little cliche. I love cliches. Cheesy, but true. So yeah, I think the best way to teach beauty is to remember the own experiences that you've had with beauty. Get back into that energy, that frequency. So when you open your eyes, you can spread that energy to others through the actions you take throughout your day. To be awakened in this way is to become a great inspiration to humanity. Yes, because when you're in that frequency of beauty, you naturally feel happy, feel healthy. So you walk around and you're naturally more inspiring to others, more attractive to others. We talked about this in the last video. This joy that you feel starts to want to express through you. God's light wants to express through you, and your art, whatever you make or create, is what draws people to you and inspires other people and all of humanity. So he's just kind of putting a nice little bow tie on that. In truth, beauty is our nature. It's right here, right now, inside each and every one of us. It's paradoxically found in both our absolute ordinariness and in our utter extraordinariness. Going back to the eyes example, beauty's here, but if my eyes are closed, of course I can't see it and observe it and soak it in and ingest it and make it mine. But if I open my eyes, now I'm taking it in, it's becoming a part of who I am, and now the actions I take throughout the world carry that frequency of beauty with them. And when my eyes are actually open, even ordinary things like trash are beautiful. And then the more obvious things like a beautiful sunset are also beautiful as well. So a fun game that I like to play is I do this sometimes if I just have some free time. You know, some time to, I don't like that expression, time to kill. It just sounds so harsh. But anyways, if you have some free time, you can look around your room, wherever you are, and note what is beautiful. I'm gonna do an example with this glass. Okay, so what's beautiful about this glass? And this is gonna sound silly, because this is silly, because God is silly. God is a silly thing, consciousness. But I think it's beautiful that the water moves like this, because it is beautiful. But to really understand it, I need to shut up. So actually, I can't really explain this game. But I prompt you to pick up something as silly as just a glass of water, try to quiet the mind, and observe the beauty. Because it's in the more subtle details that, once again, if I tried to describe, would kind of dull them down and sound silly. But it's an interesting game to play. Okay, and then this last section right here. He says, he finally uses the word centropy, which the name of this gene key is from entropy to centropy. And he says, centropy refers to the movement of energy within infinite dimensions. Centropy refers to the movement of energy within infinite dimensions. That means everlasting, never-ending dimensions. All imbued with a consciousness and all united by order and love. So, once again, if we're thinking of a scale, you can think of, if this is the 0 point where my fingers meet, this side onward is entropy. Entropy also is forever and always into disorder this way. And then centropy is forever and always into order this way, into love this way. So the nature of centropy and entropy are both eternal in the opposite directions. And the last little thing here. The purpose of existence itself, to create that which is endlessly beautiful. Endlessly, I don't know if centropic's a word, but I'm gonna use it. Endlessly centropic, endlessly loving. This is the purpose of existence itself, to create that which is endlessly beautiful and to imbue it with the awareness that is endlessly beautiful. To charge it up with the presence, with all eyes open, that is endlessly beautiful. So essentially, the entire purpose of existence itself, which finalizes this first gene key, is to create endless beauty and to be endlessly beautifully aware as you create it.